Welcome to Surviving Life's Traumas and Dramas podcast, where me and my family have come together to share our experiences of our traumas and dramas and hopes it will provide you a place of comfort and encouragement with zero judgment. Just real conversations of our journeys so you never have to feel alone on yours.
What I focus on is apologizing, because for me, apologizing has been such a part of my adult life, and I think that it has stemmed from growing up feeling like, if dad gets angry, then, he breaks something or, punches a hole in the wall, and then everybody has to be really quiet. You have to feel sorry because, oh my God, if I say something, then dad's gonna be angry. And so I think it stemmed from that and me needing to apologize for literally everything, even though everything wasn't my fault. Mm-hmm. Even I remember growing up with my brothers, and we did something, and I don't even actually, one of my brothers did something, mm-hmm. and my parents sat us all down, and they're like, who did it? Mm-hmm. And they were gonna, do Thor's hammer, and I'm like, I did. Because I just wanted to take the blame naturally, even though I didn't. Mm-hmm. But because I was so used to having that feeling of needing to apologize for stuff, I just kind of took that with me. And as I've been through things in my life, it's just gotten progressively worse. Saying I'm sorry for things that aren't my fault, taking other people's accountability for things when I shouldn't have, and apologizing on their behalf when they should have been the one apologizing. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Been there.
Also, do not leave me hanging right now, ladies.
I mean, that's hard. Because I would assume a lot of us have been in that same position. Like, I know I used to apologize a lot for my mom. Just her behaviors, or if I felt like I was putting her out because I needed something as a kid. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that's kind of gone with me into adulthood. That whether it's my fault or really anybody's fault, I will just naturally apologize because I don't want there to be awkwardness. I don't want somebody to be mad. I don't want somebody to be hurt. So I apologize. Mm-hmm. And I probably shouldn't. Probably 90% of the time. Mm-hmm. But it's just, I don't know, just my go-to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think apologizing a lot of times is to keep the peace. Mm-hmm. I know that, been there so many times, but to keep the peace, to even though it's not my fault, but kind of softening the situation. Yeah. If the person thinks that I'm apologetic for something that they did, it will calm the mood, calm the atmosphere down.
Yep.
And that's so whether it's bumping someone or accidentally scratching someone, and their facial expression will let me know that I shouldn't have touched them. And so it's like, oh, sorry, and but also I learned that I didn't want, I kind of I don't know if it was apologizing, but if there was like an invitation or something, and then the response, softening the response to the invitation or whatever, making it sound, apologizing we can't be there, but softening instead of saying what the person really thought or really said, and so making it to where that person doesn't look like the bad person. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Not that I want to, but just if people knew how hundreds of times, I don't know about hundreds, but a lot of times over the years, probably the past, I don't know, most of my adult life, if not all of my adult life actually, apologizing or softening for someone else to where people won't dislike the other person.
So you're protecting their image.
Yeah, exactly.
When technically you probably shouldn't, because that's really who they are. Yeah. People need to see that. I've done that.
Yeah.
I've done that.
Yeah, and it's a matter of Yeah, I didn't want the person to look bad, and I didn't want to hurt the person that I'm soft. I didn't want to hurt the other people's
Yep.
feelings,
Yeah.
and that's something that I've always had. Oh, that's got me just.
Well, and you know, when you just said for them not to look bad or, you know, having their feelings not hurt, apologizing on their behalf. So even though they should be the ones taking accountability for their actions, even though they're the ones, like Dee was saying, needing to be like, no, this is who you are and you need to see that. And why should I have to apologize for your bad behaviors or who you are? But because of traumas, right? You apologize for things, again, that aren't even your fault. You're not even there for a situation. But you end up apologizing to other people or even for yourself and being like, oh, I'm sorry. Because like, as you said too, oh, I'm sorry, just to soften you not making the situation worse or making them feel bad, even though it is their fault, but making them feel bad for something that they did, but you don't want them to feel bad for what they did.
Yeah.
So you apologize to them,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. But
That is where I think that by allowing that kind of behavior to occur, that affects relationships. Because I know that impacted in a very negative way your and I's relationship, your and my brother's relationship, because you were always the bad guy. And so even though Dad was very forceful in certain ways, you were always the bad guy in other ways. And that is where it led to a very unsafe, uncomfortable home environment to where it always felt like I needed to apologize or feel bad because somebody was always a bad guy when you shouldn't have been the bad guy. Dad couldn't regulate his emotions, so I always felt bad. So I always felt like I had to apologize because I wanted to bring the peace. As I've said previously, it just grew more into apologizing to keep the peace in different relationships.
yeah, I remember that because of that. No, I won't gloss over this subject.
Okay.
I think for me, I'm not necessarily in the habit of apologizing because I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to connect with this very much until you all started talking. And I feel like for me, it's not about apologizing as much as it's about, because as a kid, we had to walk on eggshells around my dad's everything, right? So whether or not he had a bad day, whether or not he had enough alcohol to drink that day, whether or not there was enough money to buy the alcohol, all of it, because he couldn't regulate his emotions. And so we had to walk on eggshells all the time. For me, what I learned, it wasn't about apologizing, but it felt like I was valued in the house as being someone who could bring humor to a situation. And so for me, it was always about, well, how can I say something funny? How can I lighten the mood? How can I make a joke out of this poor behavior to create some laughter to where everybody just calms down a little bit? Where people regulate. That's why I do that. And I have like a coping mechanism of that.
Yeah.
When there's something uncomfortable, there's an elephant in the room, instead of just like sitting with it, I'll be like, oh, that's an elephant. That's a big elephant. Because I want to break it up.
Yeah.
Because it makes me feel uncomfortable when because I don't ever know how they're going to act. Because it could have been anything growing up. Like, usually anger, but it really could have been a number of things.
Yeah.
So I guess that is my apologizing. Is
Well, there's
the trying to
different
bring
forms.
steps.
Yeah.
That's a really good point, actually.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
That aspect of it. I didn't even think of that. Now, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Not only is saying I'm sorry a form of apologizing, but humor can be. There's comedians out there. That's how they cope. But a lot of the comedians out there are hurting a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of them have come forward saying I'm hurting, but because of what I've went through, I make jokes of it so I can make light of situations.
Yeah, it's a way of healing.
Yeah.
It's a way of dealing with it, and also I think it's a way, for me anyway, I can't speak for anybody else, it's a way of putting it as a less important thing. Like, I feel like for me, if I think about it and if I categorize it in my brain as being something that's very important to where it's like gonna shape me in some capacity, then I give it power. But if I make a joke out of it, then I'm giving it less power because jokes are just silly little jokes. And it puts it in like a little closet, like a not very important closet, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said something really important, because it gives it power. Apologizing for someone else when they did wrong, when you should, gives them the power.
Yeah,
Sure
I didn't
does.
think of it that way. That's
Sure
really
does.
good.
it's definitely a form of control.
Yeah, and it puts the other person down because they feel they have to apologize when they did nothing wrong, and it makes you feel big because you made them apologize.
Yeah.
You have the control.
Yeah.
You're setting the tone of whatever the tone may be.
Exactly.
You know, the anger, and yeah, that's what I had to do for a long time, just to set the tone, to try and keep and I didn't realize that you mentioned about the walls and I honestly didn't realize that I thought I was able to maintain it to where it wasn't affecting. That if I took the butt end of okay, I'm sorry or whatever, that what I didn't realize is that anger can control an atmosphere and
Well, and that's a thing about being in, and I love Dad dearly, and he has grown exponentially since we were kids.
he's a good guy.
He's a very good guy. But with that, because of his anger, you were feeling, and correct me if I'm wrong, because this is how you're feeling, I'm just trying to describe it. You were feeling like you had to control the situation when it wasn't you
Right.
that needed to be in control of your emotions. It was him. It was his hurts, his pains that he was not healed from himself. And you were trying to protect us kids, but in protecting the kids,
I was hurting the kids.
yeah.
Yeah, and now that I'm adult, now that you guys have been grown, have your own kids, I look back at what you all have dealt with, and I see how it wasn't helping them at all. And I didn't see it back then.
Yeah.
My job was to keep you in a stable
Yeah.
home,
Yeah.
and stable, but how dysfunctional.
Yeah.
It's probably also harder, I don't know for sure, but it seems like it'd be harder with a blended family with what you had because, bringing your kids into the family, you probably didn't want him to be portrayed in a bad way with them. You wanted, obviously, that connection and that fatherly thing to happen. So you wanted him to be portrayed in a certain light. And then also maybe with his biological children, with you being the face of the good cop, bad cop thing, you being the face of the bad cop,
Bad cop.
it might have put you in a bad light with his kids.
It did, because there was an incident where one of the kids, because then I looked, excuse the language, he looked pussy whipped because I was laying the law down, but it wasn't me. I was just the voice behind the law, which caused one of the kids to, I believe something was written, and it wasn't a good situation, and it was just a bad thing for the whole family. And then we ended up getting counseling. But one of the things that struck me was that because this particular child had to be evaluated, and my job, if the law was laid down to me, you say whatever you gotta say to get him out of there. You say you're okay with it to get him out of there. You say you're safe with get him out of there. That was my job, was to get him out of there whether I felt safe or not. And that's what I did, and and I was asked directly about it.
Yeah.
And but then we went to counseling, and that's where Dad's pussy whipped came out. And it's like, do you even know who wears the pants in our family?
Right.
Particular thing, and I'm not saying that I wasn't loved, But the fact that I didn't feel comfortable, the fact that I don't care what you feel like, get him out of there. I felt really unloved
Mm-hmm.
and unprotected. So I'm gonna say that.
Yeah.
I can see why going through our childhood was really challenging because, you know, you had a lot of different layers that you had to work through.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I don't know if you ever felt the need that you had to apologize for anything that you were forced to do. But dang, Mom, that's a lot.
It just helped me feel unloved.
Oh,
Yeah.
sure,
You
absolutely.
know, I mean, I apologized all the time to try and keep the anger down, to try and keep the, you know, try and give it a good, you know, as much as possible normal home, being blended and everything as possible, you know, but, you know, I mean, Dad was dealing with a lot and he, you know, he was a hard guy. He's got a really, really, really good heart. But you know, he's been hurt too. He's been, I mean, he's told me stories and I'm like, oh my God, no wonder.
Mhm.
You know, so I don't hold it against him because I know where he's coming from with it. Not saying he should have done it,
Right.
but I understand why he did it.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean I can't. Now that you kids are grown and all this stuff, now I'm like, okay, now it's you and me. Now I don't worry about the kids having a roof over their head. Now this and this. Now I can get the strength to be me.
Yeah.
Because I lost me.
Yeah. And with that, there's no apologizing for that, right? Like, you don't have to apologize for trying to be you. As no longer apologizing for being who you are. Because how I seen it is, you, as we were growing up, you always had to apologize for being who you are. Always had to apologize for liking different things. Always had to apologize for being a certain way or not being a certain way
Yep.
or whatever have you.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm glad that you're in the unapologetic era of your life.
I wasn't able to, because it was basically it was apologizing for my likes,
Right.
it was, and I
Yeah.
didn't even think about it till you were mentioned. But yeah, it's like I had to apologize because I didn't want to be like, you know, be like me, do things I like,
Right.
like, you know, and when I lost me,
Yeah.
and I didn't start finding me until 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I didn't even, you know, someone said, well, what are your likes? And I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you like doing this? I have no idea.
Yeah.
You know, what's your love language? But I have no idea. And still to this day, I mean, I know how I like to show love, but how I receive love, I have no flipping clue.
Yeah.
I really don't know.